Hey guys, welcome back. It is for Towers Films and it is Friday, so that means another recap for The Young and the Restless for the week. The week was pretty good. There was some movement on some stories and some were kind of same old type thing. Um Adam has come back to Genoa City, came with Sharon and Victor, and Sharon went and talked to Nick and let him know that Adam is back in town and that she does believe that he does have amnesia and really does want to know what's going on with his life and to maybe try to connect with his family and maybe connect to the kind of person that he once was. Nick is still suspicious of this, but he kind of trusts Sharon's judgment on the matter. Um, but he says basically that if he comes for Christian, he's going to have a fight on his hands. So later on, actually, he does meet Adam, and they have a bit of a tense standoff a little bit there. And Adam can kind of tell that, Nick doesn't quite trust him, which I guess makes sense. I mean, he has read a lot of what he's done in the past and to people, and so he understands why maybe they might be a little bit standoffish with him or wary of him. And he says, that he just really wants to understand who he is, and he's actually the one he wanted to meet first. Like Nick is the one he wanted to meet first because Victor had asked him out of everybody, out of all the pictures that he's had and the people he's talked to or talked about, learned about, he wanted to meet Nick first. So Victor had taken him to his house basically, and they had a conversation. And Nick basically says, more or less, I don't trust you. Um, you know, I'm going to protect my kid, and but welcome home. He later does meet, he sees Victoria and Billy, and I don't think he's actually run into Nikki as of yet, but that I remember seeing. But even Victoria's kind of taken aback, tries to be somewhat welcoming to him, but you know, after everything that's happened and stuff, I mean, when you first see somebody that you presume's dead and you haven't had the best relationship with them, it's kind of hard to really reconnect. Although Victoria, I was just talking to Nikki, is kind of saying that maybe he has changed and that maybe they have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But they're also kind of questioning Victor's motives on bringing him back to Geneva City. That there's maybe a bit of a something else that he's got planned that he's not letting them in on, in which Nikki has actually questions Victor on what are his motives really. And Victor, being Victor, basically says, you have to trust me on this, that, I just want Adam back and I want him to reclaim his life. And basically that's pretty much it. But we all know Victor, there's rarely that's the whole story. Sharon has a few conversations, Victor with Adam. Adam has moved, or Victor has moved Adam into the tack house. It's kind of nice to see it again. It's been a while since we've been there, ever since Nick and Abby moved out of the house. We haven't seen the tack house, so Adam's going to be staying there. And Sharon has come by, see how he's settling in, and she tells him she's also on the property and, come by and talk to her if he needs to, and talks to him about how he feels and how people's reactions to him are. And, he's kind of wary, and he understands it, and he still pretty much reiterates whether or not he really wants to remember who he is, because who people are telling him he is and what he's read doesn't seem like a great guy. But Sharon assures him there's more to him than that. So Victor is kind of getting a little bit antsy about him not remembering anything. And when later in the week, Sharon has come to visit him, she's just able to walk right in the door. The door's open. And Adam's like, well, I locked it, So he finds out weird. And so he's thinking, did you see anybody leave while you were coming in? She says, no, she didn't. And yet he notices there's a picture on the floor, and it's of Delia. And he doesn't recognize her, doesn't know who she is, but of course Sharon does. And he asks her, who is she and do I know her? And Sharon goes, you do, but through your sister, Victoria. And Adam asks her, what the story is behind that. But Sharon doesn't want to go into it because she doesn't feel it's her place. So he wants to talk to Victoria. And so, but Sharon says, let me call her first, basically, to prep her, because it's not an easy thing to talk about. And so she does, and Victoria agrees to meet with him at Society. And Billy says he's going with her because, he's not going to let her see him by himself, because like Nick, he doesn't trust him. So Adam goes to see Victoria at Society. Now, at this point, Abby has not heard yet that Adam's even alive and is upset when they're about to tell her, and Adam walks in, and she's basically blindsided by this fact. And again, is upset the fact that she's the last to find out these things. So Adam kind of talks to her a little bit, but Abby basically leaves him to talk with Victoria and Billy by themselves, and she goes off, and Nate sees it. Nate is there and talks to her, and actually has been asking her out again, but she's telling him she's sworn off men, and he tells her, maybe I'll just take you out for a drink, and it can, like a non-date kind of thing. So they might be trying to angle a little bit of something between Abby and Nate. Maybe, I don't know if there's chemistry there just yet, but maybe if we see them a little bit more often. Anyway, so Adam is talking with Victoria and Billy, and they fill him in on Delia's story, and that Delia was Billy's daughter, and the fact that Adam had killed her by the car and left her on the side of the road. They leave out a few things, the fact that Adam didn't know it was Delia, and that sort of thing. And Sharon actually later on, when he talks to her, says there's more to it than that. There's more to the story than that. But Adam doesn't really want to hear it. He's just appalled that he'd be able to. He's the kind of person that would run over a little girl and leave her there to die and not do anything about it and cover it up. And like even by burning her scarf and everything. So he's really upset by that. And even Victor talks to him later and tries to convince him there's more to the story. But he's really not sure, because he's thinking still, even if there is, that doesn't excuse what he did. He still tried to cover that. So Victor, being Victor, figures if that didn't prompt his memory, then he has an idea. He takes Adam to Nick's house unannounced. He's going to have him meet Christian. Nick is livid about this. He gets very upset and saying, you can't just do that. You can't just walk in. I mean, I'm the one who's been raising him since Adam was killed and Sage died, and they both left him in my care and wanted me to raise him. I mean, really, they both didn't even come forward Adam didn't even come forward as his dad when he was still alive. He let Nick raise him as his, so that should count for something. And so Adam does come in. He'd been waiting out in the car, and he agrees that Victor shouldn't have blindsided Nick with this. And it's really up to Nick whether or not, when or not, he gets to see Christian. Nick lets him see him. It's for a little bit, and Adam talks to him. Not for very long, but it doesn't trigger any memories of him. To him, it's just really another kid. And Nick had even asked him why he kept that particular picture of Christian when he threw all the other ones away. And he said he didn't know. He doesn't have really any connection with him. It's just kind of like he had told Sharon. He wonders what kind of a father would have done that, just abandon his son like that. So because of all this, Adam thinks this really isn't working. He's only been there a couple of days, so he's going to go head back to Vegas. He knows nobody really wants him there anyway, except maybe Victor and maybe Sharon, but nobody else seems to. So he wants to head back to Vegas. In the meantime, he has this bag of money, like in a duffel bag that he hides, which we don't know where he comes from. And Sharon sees him with it and questions him, and he says that he carries a lot of money when he's winning. And yeah, it's pretty normal. He doesn't seem bothered by the fact that Sharon has seen it, so it may not be that nefarious at this point. We don't know. But he tells them all that he's going to go back to Vegas. This isn't working. He even shuts the door in Victor's face when he's talking to him. So later on, as he's packing to go, there's a knock on the door. And he opens the door and he's shot point blank. So we'll see what happens with that, with Adam later on. In the meantime, Victoria and Billy have been talking about Adam's return, and Nick and Sharon and Billy are all talking about this, and Nikki, and they all have varying ideas of what is going on here, where most of them are kind of suspicious of Adam, don't really know if he really has amnesia, why Victor's brought him back, with Nikki trying to defend Victor, and Victoria to an extent too. So through also all this, it revisits when Billy had asked Victoria to marry him, and Victoria wants to revisit their conversation. And she says to him that she doesn't really want to get married right now. She doesn't want to label it. She wants them to be together, but she thinks that getting married is not going to guarantee that they're going to be happy. I mean, look at Nick and Sharon, look at, Jack and Phyllis, look at a lot of different couples. And so Billy agrees for now that they can be together and they won't label it. They'll maybe even have like a commitment kind of party or something like that. And then, and they start talking about where they'd like it to be. They joke about going to Jamaica, or maybe at the house, something small, or maybe at the athletic club, and maybe having Devon and Anna do some music. And so they agree that that's what they're going to do. And they end up going to the athletic club hotel and enjoying a nice afternoon and making love. Mia, Ray, and Arturo, Ray, they're at the hospital, and they find out that Mia's contractions were Braxton Hicks, and so there's nothing to worry about. And Ray demands a paternity test. He wants to know once and for all if the baby's his or if it's Arturo's. And they really bicker between the three of them. Ray realizes that Mia and Arturo are together now. And so that kind of rubs him the wrong way. And so they really bicker about whether or not Ray really wanted to be with Mia, and that they really push the fact that he had really put his work above Mia. And this goes over a few episodes, really, because at the hospital, and then when they're back at Mia's room, and Arturo tells him that they're planning going back to Miami and starting a new life with each other. So they have the DNA test done, and they get the results, and it ends up being Arturo, who's the father of the baby. And Mia thinks it's the best possible outcome because that's what she wanted anyway. And the fact that when they were first together, when they were kids, they really had no idea what they were doing, that they were young, they were kind of stupid, and, that this is how it's meant to be. Arturo admits that, he may not be the best father at first, that, he has a lot of growing up to do, but he will be. And at first he was kind of hoping it would be Ray that was the father, because he thinks Ray is more mature and can handle things like that better. But he says that he's going to do his best for the baby and be the best father he can be. Ray tells Sharon that they had the paternity test done, and that he opens the envelope with Sharon and tells her that Arturo is the father. And Sharon, understands and says it's okay to be disappointed. And Ray says, he thinks it's the best thing, that, he's really coming to realizations about his relationship with Mia. And Sharon goes, even so, even if they cheated and they broke your heart and all that, you wanted to be a father and you could have worked it out. We would have worked it out. It would have worked, one way or another. And so you could tell Ray's upset because he did want to be a dad, and Sharon tells him, eventually it'll happen for you and you will be a terrific father. And he thanks her. And he admits, like when he was talking, and he tells Sharon, and that they did come to the conclusion that Mia cheating wasn't just on Mia. There was a reason for it. And not just because her and Arturo have a connection, but also because he was working a lot and he did neglect Mia. And then when they were there and she did try to work things out with him, that he did push her away and that he didn't really make a big effort and that his feelings had changed and that he had fallen for Sharon and that he's finally able to admit that, and he did admit that to Mia. And so they've come to some kind of a conclusion, which is really best for all of them at that point. Summer and Kyle are still butting heads, and Kyle basically accuses Summer of trying to do whatever she can to come between him and Lola, and Summer ends up coming to Jabot drunk from her nights out with Theo and the nightcaps and stuff that she had with him. And Kyle kind of makes fun of her with that, but Summer seems to be having a bit of enough of it. Now, I don't know if this is also a ploy or she legitimately thinks she should move on. She and Nick talk about this somewhat too. And she actually goes to Jack. She wants to stay at Jabot, even though Nick offered her a place at Dark Horse because she loves her job there. And she talks to Jack about maybe moving Kyle out, like separating them. And she says to him that it's not a personal thing. It really is about the fact that Kyle doesn't really seem to want to be there. Like, he's good at his job, but he's better with numbers and statistics and things like that. And she's better at the creative. And he bailed and all that on the influencers and Theo. And Jack thinks about it and considers, he'll talk to Kyle about maybe making a better arrangement. And Summer says, thank you. She also outs Phyllis to Jack that Phyllis had hacked into her account and was trying to steal some of the Jabot designs from the collective. And she says, she doesn't want out her mom, but, she wants to prove to Jack that she wants to be a Jabot. So Jack is very appreciative of that and texts Phyllis, says, nice try, Phyllis. And Phyllis comes to the office and they argue. And she realizes that Jack knows what she did. And the only way he could have known, even though Jack did try to protect Summer, he said that the IT department noticed that there was unusual activity, that there was a sign-in from an unauthorized computer to the Jabot servers. She knew, that it was Summer, and she went to confront Summer on it at Nick's house. And, how could you turn on me after everything I've done for you? And Nick, berates her for, how low could you go by breaking into Jabot files, blah, blah, espionage kind of thing. And Phyllis points out to him, rather rightly, I might add, that he did the same thing to Newman. He started Dark Horse by stealing Newman files and customers. So, what's really the difference there? But, different, like she said, different rules for different people, I guess. And so Nick tells her, just do it on your own. Don't step on people's toes. Kind of, you want to build a company, build it on your own. Which is exactly what Lauren had told her previously, because Phyllis filled her in that she had asked Ashley, which of course we knew that wouldn't fly. And Lauren tells her the same thing. You're strong, just do it on your own. Don't do anything with the Abbotts, basically. So Phyllis and Summer arguing, and Summer blurts out that Adam's alive and walks out. And Phyllis and Nick do a little bit of talking about that, but mostly Nick kind of more or less saying, stop stepping on people's toes. So Phyllis leaves. Lola and Kyle have a nice picnic in the park, and Kyle asks her if she wants to move in with him because they're been tired, and they go back and forth to each other's houses or apartments, and they want to like spend every moment together. And at first, like Lola at first thinks he's joking, and but then realizes he's serious and agrees to it until she finds out Kyle wants to move into the Abbott house. And she goes, no, there's too many Abbotts there. And I'd rather have our own place. I've been basically on my own a long time. I don't really want like a ton of family members around. So then she suggests, with Arturo going back to Miami, let's take over his lease. But Kyle doesn't want to take over Arturo's apartment because it's not that nice of an apartment. So they agree, it doesn't matter where they go, they'll just find a place to go on their own, basically. So that's what they plan to do, is move in together somewhere else, basically. Tracy continues working on her book this weekend. We still see some flashbacks or flashes of that novel. She casts herself, or she imagines herself as his secretary, Flynn's secretary, and that the secretary is basically telling him to let go of the woman that he's trying to pursue, which is Lily, and or the character Iris, and really like just kind of go on his own, really like find somebody else for him. And she informs Lauren that she's working on a new book, and Lauren says, "Oh, you've got that glow that you're in love, basically." And it kind of looks like she might be getting a little bit of attraction for Kane there, at one point when Kane comes to visit Tracy, and she's talking about her book, she imagines Kane naked, at least from the top up, while Kane's talking to her, and she's got this like starstruck kind of look on her face. It's kind of a funny scene. And because he's telling her his story idea, which is, instead of the PI investigating an infidelity of his ex-wife's new husband, maybe he's helping her search for some kind of an item, like a locket. It might have sentimental value, it might have monetary value, or something along those lines. And Tracy likes it, and so she kind of covers the fact that she's dumbstruck by saying, "I'm so excited about your idea." So it was a cute scene. It looks like they might be trying to have Tracy have a interest in Kane, although I don't know if I really like that idea. I think they could come up with somebody else for Tracy. I don't really like, personally, Kane and Tracy together, but we'll see how that goes. Along the same lines, Lauren is talking with Jack, and she doesn't like the fact that he's eating lunch and not alone. It tells him he has to get back out there again and find somebody, and she actually talks to Tracy about that. And I find it funny, she's more worried about Jack finding somebody than Tracy, and Tracy's been alone a lot longer than Jack has been. And Lauren realizes, that Tracy's kind of alone too, so she kind of apologizes, like by making it seem like if you're single, there's something wrong, kind of thing. And so she actually, when she goes for lunch with Michael, she says to Michael, "We need to set Jack up, play matchmaker, and find him a lovely young woman," which Michael's not too fond of at the moment. Doesn't really want to go down that route, but Lauren's trying to convince him otherwise. I find it funny. She doesn't want to set up Tracy, but she wants to set up Jack, who's had, I don't know how many partners, how many Tracy had. But anyway, Phyllis is still trying to get her business off the ground, and she seems to be getting, hitting walls at every turn. So while she was at Jabot, she tried to take a picture of the new Jabot Collective logo, but because she couldn't, because Jack spotted her, she drew it out on a pad of paper and then put it on her tablet. And Michael comes and visits her, and she asks him, "How do you make a shell company?" It's because basically her idea is to take Jabot designs and then basically create counterfeits or create knockoffs and sell them without the Jabot price tag. And so she wants to do it via a shell company. And Michael's, don't sell knockoffs. If you really want to be a legit company, be legit. And don't take like something that somebody else is doing. Make something for yourself instead of doing what other people are doing. Like, take my advice that way, because one, you'll get caught, and two, you're smart enough not to do that kind of thing. So we'll see what she decides to do. Hey guys, now for your Friday spoilers for your Monday episode. If you are in the United States, Sharon is at home and she hears the gunshot and she yells Adam and runs to the tack house and finds Adam lying just inside the door of his house, and she calls 911 and tries to stop the bleeding. She's assumably also contacted Victor, who shows up, and the police as he's being wheeled in. And she basically just tells him that all she knows is that he's being wheeled into emergency and Nate's taking care of him. Later on, Victor contacts both Nick and Victoria, whom Victoria is still with Billy after they finish making love at the hotel. And they're basically worrying about Adam and how he's going to blow up their lives. And Billy's still convinced that he's just there and he's just going to destroy their lives. And Victoria's a little bit less sure of that and wonders, maybe he's changed. So basically she had said that they had to go to work. And so Billy had left and Victoria got the text from Victor. So they're all heading to the hospital. In the meantime, Paul is interrogating Sharon at the hospital and basically doesn't seem to believe her story that she found him on the inside of the door, that he had been shot. She tried to save his life. And he tells her that, it's not the first time. She's been less than forthcoming, with information. And she says that, this isn't like JT. She'd never try to hurt Adam. And Victor comes to her defense and tells Paul to stop interrogating Sharon, that she had nothing to do with this. And Sharon thanks him for standing up for her. Victoria and Nick show up, and Vicky is also talking to Nikki on the phone, and they agree, or Nick talks to Nikki on the phone and agrees that she doesn't need to come, that they keep her updated. And they're all worried, and they wonder, who would do this. And of course, Nick keeps going on about, of course, somebody shot him. He's here less than a week, and he's doing dirty dealings in Vegas. They don't know what he's been up to, and he might have brought in some of these people here. And Victor's like, let's, instead of basically condemning Adam, let's pray for him and hope that he gets better, instead of, putting him down. Nate comes back, or Nick talks to Sharon and wants her to stay out of it now. And because, somebody's now tried to take Adam's life and it's dangerous being around him. And Sharon says she feels she owes him because he saved her life. And Nick says, well, now you're even, basically. But Sharon refuses to walk away. And Nate comes in and informs him that they were able to get the bullet out and that he's expected to make a full recovery. But at the moment, he can't talk. So it's best just everybody go home and get some rest. Victor refuses to leave, but tells everybody else to leave, which they do. Nikki and Vicky and Nick head to the Crimson Lights and are discussing what's going on. And Billy shows up and they inform him, or Vicky had told him earlier what had happened, and he'd shown up, and Nick questions him if he was the one who shot Billy or if shot Adam, and Billy reiterates, maybe you did, and they both tell their alibis. Victoria says that he was with her, and Nick says he was with Christian, and Billy basically says, oh yeah, you're a toddler, I don't think that'll stand up in court. And so they kind of snark at each other a bit. And Billy thinks that he agrees with Nick that he doesn't think the amnesia is real, and that this is probably just going to be the start of chaos where Adam's concerned. Sharon, or during this time, Mia and Arturo have called Lola and Ray to Crimson Lights as they are saying their goodbyes. They are heading back to Miami. And there's, a lot of talk that, don't, like to Mia, don't, like from Lola, don't screw over my brother. I'm going to come pick you up. And Mia says she won't. And they want texts and pictures and let them know when she's in labor. And just like reiterating what they've already talked about. And that Lola convinces Ray that try to be a good father figure to Arturo, that he's going to be a father and that really the only father figure he's really had, like a decent one. And so Ray basically not gives his blessing, but says that, he wishes them that they're both happy, and they hug. And Mia and Arturo head off back to Miami. And Ray meets Sharon at her house and fills her in that he's getting a divorce and he's ready to start the next chapter of his life with her. And Sharon says, it's okay, even though you're ready to move forward, to be angry at them. And he says, yeah, even though they blew up my life, I basically have to move on. And Sharon fills him in on what happened with Adam, and they don't know who shot him. And Ray wishes that he was still on the police force so that maybe he can find out some answers. Summer goes to see Phyllis, and Phyllis has been working on her new website called Jolie Chic View. I believe that's what she calls it. Or Vision. And it's like identical to what Jabot Collective's logo will look like. So she looks like she's going ahead with her plan to try to steal the knockoffs, create knockoffs from Jabot Collective. And Summer comes in and they have yet another discussion. Phyllis is upset that she basically ratted her out to Jack and torpedoed her whole idea. So she's trying to get Summer to think that she's not going to go ahead with her plan. And Summer's like, why insist on revenge? Like, just do things on your own. Like, it's about the third person who's told her this. And Phyllis just goes on. They fired me. They've done worse to each other. And, she wants Summer to come work for her because she's never going to get anywhere further in Jabot because it's only the Abbotts that do. Or Abbott males that do, because even Ashley had a hard time, couldn't keep the CEO position. It always ends up going back to Jack. And they just keep like butting heads back and forth. And Summer thinks it's a bad idea. Instead of doing revenge, like go and like make a company that's worthwhile. And she's not convinced that Phyllis is going to get over that, or that she's ended this plan or her idea. So when she leaves Phyllis, she goes straight to Jabot and runs into Kyle, who just prior to that was talking to Jack, and Jack had basically kind of agreed with Summer's idea of moving him out from the team. Kyle had come to him with an idea of using a certain influencer who's huge on YouTube and having her do unboxing videos and the like, but Jack thinks that, like Summer, his skills are better used elsewhere. And Kyle's not too happy about that. He sees it as a demotion, and basically when Summer shows up, gets upset with her about it, and basically says, you got what you wanted. And Summer's like, this isn't what I wanted. And you even thought that, we shouldn't work together. And Kyle had thought that Jack would move Summer. But really, why should he? That she wanted that position. And he was always kind of about what they were doing, So they basically talk about things, and they kind of basically concede that it wasn't going to work, and it's actually better that they don't work together. And Summer says to him she realizes that he never lied to her about Lola's feelings and his feelings for him, for her, Lola. And Cal tells her that there's going to be somebody better for her out there that loves her just as much as he loves Lola. And they kind of part on semi okay terms. During the conversation with Kyle, Billy had come in and basically informed Jack that Adam's alive, and Jack's stunned to hear this. But he says, don't, bet on a reunion because he's claiming amnesia, which Jack, I guess, believes. He knows Adam a little bit better. And Billy's like, again, going on about, how fake he can be and how he can be manipulative. And Jack says, I understand your history with him and like with Delia and all that. And he agrees he doesn't understand what it must be like to be there with Adam, or to see Adam again. But Jack's always had a different kind of relationship with Adam. So he's kind of a little bit more willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And so we'll see where their relationship goes from there. Back at the hospital, or Paul goes to Adam's attack house, and they're investigating with another officer. And Paul realizes that the shooter never got in the house. That, just going by what Sharon said and where Adam was found, that he was shot by the front door. Yet they look around anyway, and they find the bag of money, and they realize it wasn't a robbery. Adam was specifically targeted. Victor is at Adam's bedside and talking to him, saying he's a fighter and that he'll wake up. He's a Newman and everything. And Adam wakes up and says, Dad. So does he actually remember? Has his memories returned? Or is he saying Dad because Victor told him he's his father? So we will find out next week. That is it for this week of The Young and the Restless. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another upload. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great week, and see you next Friday. Bye.